The Appalachian Mountains, ancient and imposing, they stood cloaked in a silence older than time. Nestled deep within their heart lay a place whispered about in hushed tones. They called it the Whispering Woods, a name uttered with a shiver, a name that conjured fear. This was no ordinary forest. This was a place where darkness lingered, where secrets whispered among the trees, and where, legend had it, some souls went to be lost forever. It was here, amidst the snow-laden pines and the biting winter wind, that a group of friends chose to spend their winter break. Their laughter was bright against the stark landscape, their youthful energy a stark contrast to the ancient silence of the woods. They were oblivious, unaware of the watchful eyes of the forest. They did not feel the cold dread that clung to the air. They did not know that they had stepped across an invisible line. They were no longer just visitors in this place, they were now prey. The friends unpacked their gear, their breath misting in the freezing air. The woods were unsettlingly quiet, the usual chirping of birds, the rustling of small animals, all absent. It was as if the forest itself were holding its breath. A blanket of snow covered the ground, muffling their footsteps. The silence pressed in, heavy and absolute. They set up their tents, their voices echoing strangely in the stillness. Emily, always the sensitive one, shivered. She couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The darkness between the trees seemed deeper here, more profound. The shadows longer, stretching out like grasping claws. Nightfall came quickly, swallowing the weak winter sun. The temperature plummeted, and the friends huddled around a crackling fire. They told ghost stories, their laughter a pale attempt to push back the growing unease. The fire crackled, sending sparks spiraling into the black sky. Emily listened to the stories, her heart pounding. She kept hearing things, soft whispers on the edge of her hearing, sounds that vanished when she turned her head. "Did you hear that?" she finally asked, her voice tight. Her friends laughed, but their laughter was strained. They had all felt the shift in the atmosphere. The air had grown thick, heavy with unseen menace. The whispers grew stronger, weaving their way around them. They were no longer just sounds, they were words, spoken in a language too ancient, too primal to understand. The next morning dawned crisp and clear, but the beauty of the snow-covered landscape held a sinister edge. Jake was gone. His tent was empty, his belongings untouched. Panic, sharp and cold, gripped the group. They called out his name, their voices echoing emptily through the silent woods. There was no answer, only the whispering of the wind through the trees. They searched for hours, their initial fear giving way to a chilling certainty. Something was terribly wrong. The forest had claimed Jake, swallowing him whole. And as they stood there, surrounded by the silent, watchful trees, they knew that they were trapped too. The whispers grew more insistent now, laced with a note of mocking laughter. They discovered strange symbols carved into the trees. Ancient markings, twisted and disturbing. Emily felt a chill crawl down her spine. These were not random acts of vandalism. These symbols held meaning, a meaning she couldn't quite grasp. They seemed to pulsate with an energy that made her skin crawl. They were warnings, she realized, or perhaps threats. The forest was speaking to them, but its language was one of fear and despair. The friends were now prisoners in a nightmare, hunted by something they couldn't see, couldn't understand. As night fell again, the whispers turned into chants. Low and guttural, they seemed to rise from the very earth itself. The air grew frigid, and a thick fog rolled in, cloaking the woods in an impenetrable white shroud. Shadows danced at the edge of their vision, taking on grotesque, inhuman shapes. The friends huddled together, their faces pale with terror. Then the screaming started. It was Jake's voice, filled with unimaginable pain and terror. It seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, echoing through the fog-choked woods. Panic seized them. They had to escape. They had to get out of this place before whatever had taken Jake came for them, too. They ran blindly through the fog, the sound of their own ragged breathing loud in their ears. The forest seemed to twist and turn around them, a labyrinth with no exit. Trees reached out with grasping branches, trying to snag them, to hold them back. The ground seemed to shift beneath their feet, roots rising up like serpents to trip them. The fog was alive, swirling and coiling around them, choking the air from their lungs. One by one they fell, dragged down by unseen hands into the darkness. Their screams were swallowed by the fog, their pleas for help lost in the howling wind. The forest was claiming them just as it had claimed Jake. Emily doesn't remember how she escaped. She only remembers the bone-chilling cold, the feeling of being watched, hunted. She remembers the screams. She alone made it out of the whispering woods, but the forest was not finished with her. She carried its mark, etched deep within her soul. The nightmares plagued her, vivid and relentless. The whispering followed her, a constant reminder of the horrors she had witnessed. The woods had taken her friends, their laughter silenced forever, and Emily was left to carry the burden of their memory, a chilling reminder that some places are best left undisturbed, for in the heart of the whispering woods darkness reigns, and sometimes it doesn't let go.